let me put it out there on the line where I come from. I'm not sure if it's a conservative idea. I'm not sure if it's a liberal idea. I'm a hodgepodge. They didn't teach me what conservatism was at any point to decide when I was in college in the name of diversity. So I have a hodgepodge mind, and I think I fit more on the scale of being conservative. I think it's obvious. But my idea of diversity is anyone can have sex with whomever they want, and anyone can adopt whomever they want. And I don't care if 1,000 years down the road we're all the same color. And I'm adopted. And I think that's how come the race thing irks me to no end. Because my sister's Hispanic, I think. She tans, I don't. And I resent a system that tells me that my sister can get into a university, but I can't when we have the exact same grades. That pits us against each other. And I doubly resent it when, because of the adoption laws in this state, just to give you how crazy all this crap is, all this multicultural diversity crap is, I do not have the legal right to find out who my birth parents are, which would be the only way for me to decide or to be able to declare what race I am when I apply for jobs or when I apply to get into universities. So what do? Guess? Does my sister guess? She goes, I think I'm Hispanic. She gets a lot of whistles from Hispanic guys. And she's like, no, hablo. She met her mother, and she's half Hispanic, I found out. So, hooray. I love her still. Crazy, crazy concept. I remember hearing there were anti-miscegenation laws. I'm like, I'm pro-miscegenation, I really am. I want to stop talking about race. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's like a recurring nightmare. So if you disagree with me on that, just leave. If you don't think that people have the right to have sex with whomever they want, when I found out that black social workers would rather have a black child live as an orphan than have the Mr. Drummond template, the different strokes template, that a white person cannot raise a black person because of a cultural, some form of cultural oppression. Well, if those rules applied back in 1970 when my sister was adopted, she wouldn't be my sister. So excuse me for being a little intolerant towards this type of racism in the name of diversity. And excuse me for recognizing that that's the battle that we're up against right now. It is an existential battle. The Tea Party struck on something. We started talking about, let's return to the Constitution. We started talking about fiscal responsibility, but at the end of the day, we are exposing that in a center-right country, in which, according to Gallup, there's a 2-to-1 ratio of conservative to liberal, the only way the left can win is through thought policing, political correctness, and intimidating people that they can't speak out. So that's why when you're on a college campus, you go, what you're saying is oppressing. You're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it. And it scares people. And I started to analyze it because I live in Hollywood. I'm like, wait a second. John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, and now we've got Michael Moore and Janine Garofalo. What happened over the last 40 years? And my perspective on it is this. When I walk through Hollywood, people tap me on the shoulder. And they say, I'm on the team. I go, what do you mean by that? I'm on the team. I go, why are you whispering? He goes, I'll lose my job. I'm on the team. Look, why are you whispering? This is the United States of America. You're allowed to talk. You're allowed to be. It's a two-party system. He goes, I'll lose my job in Hollywood if it comes out that I'm conservative. They're bullies. They're totalitarians. Hugo Chavez, is he a bully? Can you speak? Can you disagree in Venezuela, where it's a left-of-center place that tells people, we're going to tell you how to live your life and you're going to enjoy it because everybody's going to have the same stuff, so shut up and sit down? No, you can't, can you? How about Cuba? How about the former Soviet Union? You show me a leftist environment in which they don't start to tell you what you can think and what you can't say. And so when I walk around Hollywood and I get people tapping me on the shoulders and saying, I'm on the team, I'm like, they get to talk about it. They get to speak from the top of the mountain and go, I'm liberal. And I hate you and you're racist. And we can't say meekly, no, I'm not. Because you'll be exposed. You won't get a job the next day. Or on the college campus where there's an $800 to $1 ratio at Berkeley of money that went to Barack Obama versus John McCain. And the people who choose tenure and who gets hired. It's an insider's club.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to think differently. There's no diversity. It's one point of view, and people are scared. The men in the room are scared that they're going to be called sexist. They're worried that what happened to Clarence Thomas is going to happen then, and they realize that the media is not going to be there and say, wait, we're sitting here watching this guy get pilloried because he said there was a pubic hair on a Coke can, and then a year later, the same people that put him on trial say, Bill Clinton, he's the standard bearer of our movement. What the fuck is that? Excuse me. It's not hypocrisy. It's so much bigger. There is a bigger word than hypocrisy. We have to go to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory to find it. And so people in Hollywood have reached out to me, and I've started to put them together with each other. And they're starting to realize that they need to figure out how to come out of the closet. They do, and they exist there in numbers. And when I'm at CBS during the Wiener thing, and I'm walking through, people tap me and they go, psst, don't tell anyone I'm on the team. So you've got Hollywood, you've got a totalitarian light environment there, where there's only one correct, diverse point of view. And then you've got journalism, where there's one politically correct point of view. When Bernie Goldberg, a liberal, says, oh, it's manifestly obvious, Dan Rather told me this and this, it's like the guy becomes blackballed for telling the truth. You'll have to report on corporations, but you better not report on the reporters. And he gets basically blackballed from CBS for reporting on CBS, for telling the truth. And these people say, shh, I'm on your team. I get to pick and choose my battles. Okay, so you've got Hollywood, you've got the mainstream media. Then what next? The college campus. You have to understand that I was an American Studies major, and I didn't study Mark Twain or the Constitution, but I did study the Frankfurt School and a bunch of cultural Marxists, one of whom, Antonio Gramsci, spoke of the long march through the institutions. And that's what happened. In the 1940s, the left came in and said America is not susceptible to the argument that its economic system, capitalism, is wrong. They're not. There's a middle class here. There's an American class work ethic, and everybody thinks that they can rise through the ranks. But these social engineering ingrates who came from the University of Frankfurt, from the Frankfurt School, which is the Hoover Institution for demented leftist freaks, fled Nazi Germany for, I kid you not, Colombia and Santa Monica. And they came here and talked about how they were depressed. They were depressed in Santa Monica. Why don't you get back on the boat and go back to Nazi Germany or Mussolini's Italy, where Theodore Adorno came from? And they said that America was not susceptible like other countries were, where they could go to the peasant class and say, let's have an uprising, let's take on the ownership class. And you could have Marxist-Leninist revolutions. And it would happen like that. It happened like it did in Cuba. But they realized it's not going to happen like that in America. We have to be more mischievous. And they were the ones that devised that America's capitalism could not survive the assault on its checks and balance, and that was its Judeo-Christianity. And they went after the culture, and they said, we're going to go through the institutions one at a time. And when they walked in through the front door, they said, John Wayne, thanks for your work. Get the hell out of here. Get out of here, Jimmy Stewart. And when the left took over Hollywood, they clamped down. They made films that were nihilistic. They made films that sent a message to other people around the world who came here. Arrows coming to the United States, not going the other way like in Marxist countries, to send messages on our satellites that say, America doesn't like America anymore. We don't like each other. We self-hate each other. We're nihilists. Our men aren't men. We're decadent. We're hideous. That's what they planned on doing, and that's what they did. So I believe the Tea Party movement is an existential battle to fight back against the left. And they understand it. That's why they're fighting back so hard. They're fighting back so hard on the issue of race and sexuality and all that type of stuff, because that's the post-structural environment that you're paying $80,000 a year for your kid to come home at Thanksgiving to blame your parents for oppressing the Indians, and that you're to blame for the blankets. You're to blame for the blankets and poisoning the blankets. Your kid goes to class, first day, I love you, Mom. Thanks for that little mini refrigerator, and thanks for the stereo. I love the last 18 years. And they come back and they hate you. It's because they've been indoctrinated. And I was indoctrinated. And then I fell on my head or something. And I decided that I was going to rebel against, how crazy is this? My family. And my neighbors. And I said, I'm not going to sit back and watch our country being destroyed from within. And I went to that Tea Party thing in Dallas, and I said to these people, that was the fight that we fought for the last 2 years. But if we're going to win in 2012, and we're as idealistic as we know that we are, and we want to create a more perfect union, we're going to have to go out there and reach out to minority communities, and we're going to have to reach out to people on the left and figure out a way to work together. Because I don't want a civil war. I don't want this to come to blows. And so, in the good old summertime, in the good old